It's a special stout, dark, rich, smooth and fruity. Old hiss.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Paulie sent me a sour beer that he made. I kind of helped him through it, walked him through it. He did a kettle souring process.
Hey, B's and G's, how's it going today? Hey, it's a wonderful Wednesday, time for a homebrew Wednesday.
Hey everybody, Main Brew Guy. So I finished my tap tower, and it's not really a tower, it's kind of a horizontal tower, I guess. And it's a fairly simple design. It's just really a stainless steel brush tube with two removable ends, caps on them. And I ran into, well, let me just go a little further here. So on the other side of this wall, approximately right here, are those beer fridges on the opposite side of this wall. Hope I'm not off camera. Anyway, so out of the beer fridges comes the beer lines, and then they come through the wall into here. And it's about 6 foot run. And longest maybe six and a quarter. And I had some, well, I wasn't thinking. And I had an engineering faux pas. And well, let me just say this. I went to pour my first beer. And I poured a glass, a 22-ounce glass of pure foam, all foam. And then when the foam settled out, it was a flat beer. So I thought, that's interesting. Maybe it's because I'm just pushing beer through that line for the first time. So I poured about a half a glass of complete foam after I let it settle down. And I didn't want to waste it, so I didn't pour any more. So I tried the other one, the Scottish, Evil Elf Scottish Ale. Same exact thing, full glass of foam. I hadn't had these two taps on yet. So I was kind of perplexed. So I looked for kinks in the lines and all of that stuff. Then I realized that I'd made a big mistake. That mistake was the beer lines are coming out of the fridge. First of all, the beer lines are in the fridge and they're cold. The beer is cold. The beer lines are coming out of the fridge into room air. And those lines travel through room air all the way up to the tap. And so what happens is when you have beer traveling that has CO2 in it and it's cold, and you run that beer through a warm line, the beer wants to expand. And since it's a sealed beer line, it can't expand, so it pulls all of that CO2 out of suspension. So I was pouring complete foam because my beer lines aren't cold all the way to here. So I had to come up with a simple fix that wasn't going to cost me an arm and a leg. So I did a little research and realized that breweries do these glycol systems where they have the beer lines with the glycol line running with the beer lines wrapped in foam. So I thought, well, how can I do that here? So this is how I fixed it, and I'm going to show you right now. So those are the two beer fridges, which have 2 kegs and 2 kegs, which give me my 4 beers. So what I did was I wrapped the lines. That's not all I did. You can see there's an additional line here I have to wrap. I left it unwrapped for illustration. So what I did was I took this size line right here and I paralleled the beer lines and I ran. It's going to be hard to see now that I have everything in here. I don't know if you can hear that running. So now what I have is well, let me just pull all this apart and I'll show you. For the taps, the 4 taps in the, in the new bar. I haven't set this one up yet. It's just storage. But what I want to show you is this. This is temporary, obviously, but it was a cheap way to make this happen. So you see there's water moving through there, in there. Those are just their standard aquarium pump. I just did this because I wanted to see if it worked before I more professional. And you have beer line that's running basically at room temperature, and then going through the wall, and then in a tap tower that's at room temperature. I also have to finish insulating the return line, just so right now it's not a big deal because it's winter and it's cool in here, but in the summer when it's 80 degrees in the garage, this is going to heat up too much. That's the second line, the second 2 lines from the bottom fridge and the top 2 lines from the top fridge. So what I'm basically doing is recirculating water through this pail, sitting in the refrigerator, keeping cool, and insulating. And the reason being, and it seems to work, the only thing is it's frosting the fridge. Of course it will do that, and it's going to be a lot worse in the summer. So I have to, it's got to be a sealed container. As you can see, it's starting to frost the freezer portion. Because of course it's just, it's going to evaporate in here. So the container, I'm ready to see if it worked, and it's been working well for the last 2 weeks. I have it working well. So with these pumps here, they're complete. You have to prime them, and the best way to prime them, honestly, is just to siphon on the other end. So just, like you're siphoning gas, get the pump going, and it works fine, and plenty powerful. Cheers. Sealed all this off, drilled a hole in the top to keep it from evaporating, and defrosted it so I started fresh and then cleaned it out. So it looks pretty cool in here. It smells nice, a little bleachy, but everything's ready to go for the new setup. And croppings, that's all that Pilsner yeast there. But anyway, I gotta find a place to put all of these hops once I get the kegs in here. It's gonna be a challenge because I got some up in the freezer section. But this seems to be working pretty good, so I decided to just keep this system. And you can hear the pump running. And it seems to be working. We'll see how it does in the summertime. I don't know what else. There's not much else going on, frankly. It's just work and brewing. I've not been posting a lot of videos because it's a lot of the same stuff. That's probably why I wanted to show you that, in case anybody ever wanted to run beer lines outside their refrigerator unit like I did and mount them on the wall. You're going to need to cool it. So this is a easy, cheap fix. I think everything, hose, insulation, aquarium pump. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you the aquarium pump. You got to use a pretty hefty aquarium pump. You can't use the small one. So the one I used, I'll show you the box. I kept it just in case it didn't work. I used a Maxi Jet 1200. I think it was $48 at PetSmart. Oh wait, the receipt right in here. $45 at PetSmart. It did not work. My concern was the pump wasn't going to be strong enough to push the water all the way around in that beer line. The hose size is significant. It's of this thickness, this type of hose. I just bought new hose. This here is for a blow-off tube. So it's the blow-off tube size is what I used. I can't remember the actual inside diameter. I think it was 5/8. Yeah, 5/8. Pull the cover off and you can see the bigger line's in here, and this is the coolant line, and it's insulated. The cap is insulated. It's just a press fit, 2-hand job, I think. 2-hand job? Okay. So it was really simple to build. If you see how this is lined up. The hole for the tap is actually lined up with the hole for the stud. Same here. And since it's 16 on center, I just run a lag bolt through the back with a large fender washer into the stud. That's what holds the whole thing in. And there's the insulated beer lines and coolant lines coming into the bottom. There. So that's really cool to the touch. So after all that, now this is actually cool to the touch. It feels like it's refrigerated, even though it is insulated. So when you pull the cap off, like I showed you, it's cool in there. It actually works. So I was very pleased with that fix. So I just want to show you the result. And unfortunately, I never recorded prior. Oh, my cat didn't like that comment. But anyway, here's the pour. Of course, that is the first pour, but that is my IPA. So that fixed the problem, and I was able to fix that problem for under $100. I'm very pleased with that fix. So if any of you ever think to do something similar to this, remember you have to refrigerate your beer lines all the way, and even the tower itself has to be refrigerated, which is why those of you who have kegerators and have installed a second tap on a skinny little tower like this, and have decided to take your insulation out, like I did, your first beer is always going to pour very foamy. And that's what was always happening with this, and I did not put 2 and 2 together. So I've put the insulation as best I could back in there. I still have to do the top to keep the coolness from coming off the top of this. So I still have to insulate the cap, is what I'm saying, or trying to say. So it still pours a little foamy because I think it's too crowded for this skinny little tower. It was really designed for only one tap, but I squeezed another one in on it. But the moral of the story is that if you decided to do that with one of these, and you've taken out all the insulation, and you're pouring a foamy beer on the first pour, that would be your culprit. Anyway, it was painfully obvious once I thought about it. That is my update. Thanks, guys. Happy Homebrew Wednesday.